With series like Revolutionary Girl Utena and Revue Starlight, I've always had a little bit of a fascination with the idea of not just stage play, but also the idea of the revue, the idea of the all-female cast stage play that really, in a sense, hasn't really been too dived into by any series. So when Kageki Shoujo was being adapted, I definitely was interested in the series just based on the idea of really getting into the nitty-gritty of the industry itself. Not really so much the industry, but the actual training and the building of those that will eventually go into the industry, and the little bit of insight that we'll get from that. But this is my review of Kageki Shoujo, a 13-episode series that aired in the summer 2021 anime season, so let's jump into it. Following the Koka revue that was established in the Taisho era, a school was established in order to train the up-and-coming performers that will perform there. Coming into the current time, we follow several girls as they become the 100th class of this particular school. Mainly Sarasa, who is a very tall girl, as well as Ai, who is an ex-JPX Idol member. And what you'll find is in the background, a lot of the faculty members have decided with this particular year to kind of try something a little bit different. A lot of the girls that they've actually allowed to join the school are kind of out of the norm. Specifically, we note the idea that Sarasa is desiring to become the role of a female actress, but she's very tall, which is something that they would just never allow in the past. But it's something they're trying to experiment with this particular schooling year. And as the school year kicks off, it seems like obviously everybody's kind of at odds with each other. Obviously, there is limited roles in the actual performances each year. Each year they'll have different seasons, so 4 total seasons of different groups. So that means most every single role has only 4 girls that can actually perform each role because of how the seasons are laid out and how each of the performances are done. So there's very limited placements that can actually be done. So there's a lot of competitions within this particular school, so everybody kind of sees each other as rivals. But what you'll kind of find out very quickly is injecting this particular character, Sarasa, who's a very positive person, kind of obviously seems like it seeps into the other characters. That sense of competition is either in conflict with what Sarasa sees things as, but also this idea that a lot of them start to respect each other. But even still, there's a lot of tension in the story. A lot of characters will often find themselves see themselves as inadequate, and this can either have very negative effects upon them or struggles that they must overcome. Stories of girls that have been rejected before and their fight in order to finally be accepted. The stress of meeting body type expectations and purging, conflicts with the second years, height restrictions, weight restrictions, all of these things within the culture of it itself that are essentially pulling and pushing these girls into purging and stressful situations, feeling inadequate. All these things are drama and pressure that's put upon these girls that really do stretch them to their limits. And I think it's only in really respectable rivalries between each one of them or the support that they find in each other that they find themselves able to pull through these situations and ultimately become the driving force for why I love this series so much. Which gets me to my thoughts on the series overall. I absolutely adored this series. I think this is slice of life storytelling at its best. Not too heavy on the drama, but just enough to really drive me to root and cheer for the characters to push them through their situations they go through. And I found it so fantastic that even though we had 13 episodes, so much was done with so many of these characters that I really wasn't expecting it to happen. Sarasa, getting into her backstory, how she was essentially denied kabuki. She wanted to go into kabuki, and how she found a new dream. Ai and her fear of men, how negative she was early on, and how she finds herself opening up to people, and ultimately us getting a perspective into what really drives her, this tragic past that she went through. Hoshino and her not relying on the legacy of her family. Aya and her basically destroying herself over her insecurities. The Sawada twins and their forking of their dreams that ultimately drives them apart. There's just so much good stories here, and the fact that they told as many as they did is definitely shocking to me. But unfortunately leads me to really being sad that it's over, and really wondering if we'd ever get another season of this that just has me heartbroken. And that's not something against the show itself, not that it was really driving for a source material bait, but the idea that I fell in love with these characters so much, and that I'm rooting for them in their futures, that I want to see that future. And that ultimately is that element of me being full of sadness. The way that they managed to really make these characters come to life and me wanting them to succeed is a testament to how well this story was told and how these characters are so well developed. Yes, it's about Koka. Yes, it's about stage performance. Yes, it's about the school, but it's so much more than that. It is about these girls and their futures that they're trying to strive for. And I think what really puts the icing on the cake for me is just how well this writer tells its character stories. It's respectful about certain situations. I mean, to give an example, with one character's backstory, it gets in the idea of a child being forced into something. And I think it was very respectful about how it told that story. Not only because it doesn't show us something that we don't want to see, but it portrays something in a way that is equally as upsetting, but enough to show you why they are the way they are. Yes, it's still unsettling, but also that it was respectfully handled. Another example of the fantastic writing is having the faculty very believable. When you have a situation where a lot of these girls are facing a lot of expectations about their body types and everything, obviously there's going to be a case where they will acknowledge when something happens because they've seen it before. It's just a thing of this medium. And for them not to acknowledge it would have really frustrated me. But because they acknowledge it, it makes me realize the writer is respectful about all of the characters and acknowledges the idea that these people have seen this stuff and they know how to handle it. And I really do respect that. It's a tough industry and there's going to be a lot of expectations, a lot of stresses, and a lot of unfortunate downfalls of these girls. But I can go on and I can go on and I can spoil the entire show, but I'm just going to leave it at that. Like I said before, this show is absolutely fantastic. This story is fantastic. I want more of this. I think if this doesn't get an announcement for another season, I would probably check out the manga. That's how much I've enjoyed this show and how invested I am in these girls. Like I said before, it's something to be said when I just get to the point where something happens and I literally jump out of my chair because I'm that excited or I'm that stressed out about what's happening to them. I think it's fantastic. I love the characters. I love their stories, a lot of the backstories, a lot of the struggles they go through. Again, how respectfully all these types of subjects are really handled. I just love it to death. And I definitely encourage anybody to go check out this series. It's slice of life drama, the hint of shoujo, not too much, at its best. And it's always great to have a show that seems to be very hinted at shoujo that captures me. It's just a very rare thing. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I'm going to stop there. I definitely encourage you guys to go check out this series. That's my review of Kageki Shoujo. Definitely a fantastic series. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the series. Or if you're going to check it out, subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon if you can. We definitely appreciate everybody that does. And y'all take care.